Now, we all know how important it is to keep your lenses clean, don't we? After all, what's the point spending thousands on a superbly engineered piece of glass only to shoot through dust and grubby fingerprints? Well, with that in mind, I think the easiest thing to do is just pop onto Amazon. Other shops are available, of course, and order yourself something to keep your pride and joy sparkly clean. You go shopping and bam! What? You're faced with liquids, cloths, brushes, blowers, wipes, even pens that all claim to clean the front of your optics and keep it in tip-top condition. So, which should you choose? Which one of them is best? It's a minefield, isn't it? Well, I've decided that perhaps the best thing to do is to shoot a video. We'll have a shootout. So I've dug out an old Nikon lens with a big old piece of glass to do a test. And we're going to pitch each one of these cleaners here against each other. Find out which is best. So how am I going to do the test? How am I going to make it work, I hear you ask? Well, there are two main culprits when it comes to getting your lens dirty, aren't there? First, we've got dust. Now, you just can't stop it. Put your lens down for 5 minutes without a cap on and the dust will start to settle on it. Even inside the camera bag itself, it carries dust and it deposits it right on your lens just before an amazing f11 shot into the sun. Ruined. So, I need something very fine, lightweight. I've got to simulate dust. I'm not going to unpack the Hoover. No, I want something I can sprinkle onto the lens, and I've got the perfect thing. Talc. That's right. We're going to go back to the 70s because I found a shop that sold old talcum powder that we all used after a shower or a bath back in the day. And it ticks all the right boxes. It's got very fine particles, it falls through the air just like dust and it settles on the lens. And as a bonus, it's white, so we're going to see it on camera really easily. The second enemy of the lens is greasy fingerprints. For that, I've got some petroleum jelly and I put a little bit on my finger, press it right into the middle of the lens. If the cleaners can shift that, they'll shift anything. So, without further ado, let's get into the test and see how they get on. So first up is the Zeiss individually wrapped, pre-moistened lens wipes. I've got some of these in my camera bag and I use them because they're quick and easy to use. They take up hardly any space at all in the bag. The only drawback for me is that I've got to make sure that I pack them in a covered pocket that the customer can't see, because I did once have a customer who looked down into my bag and saw a load of these and went quite red. They were quite shocked. And I looked down, saw them, and realised how much these sealed little squares look like condoms. Well, we had a laugh about that when I realised what was going on and I explained they were lens wipes. So let's have a look at them in action. The lens wipes, that is. So let's get some of our dusty talcum powder on there, and that shows up really well, doesn't it? Now I'm going to clean the lens my way. I'm not saying that's the right way. We all have different methods to clean our lenses, so I'm just doing it the way I do it. So first of all, let's get this Zeiss wipe and give it a wipe around. Oh, there's quite a lot of liquid on this, look, quite a lot of alcohol. Just moving that dusty talc around, get it round out of the corners. It's left quite a residue, look at that. Is that going to dry off? I'm going to just go around it once more. It is drying, look, eventually. Very, very wet these are. Just leave it. Yeah, it's drying off, look, in the air you can see. But it's left quite a lot around the outside, look. Can you see the outside edges here? I'm going to have to clean that again. Now the wipe's drying out now, you can see. It hasn't got as much moisture on, alcohol on. There we go. I'm still going to get a dry cloth and just clean that very edge there. Okay, let's try putting a big grubby oily fingerprint in the middle.
a big glob of grease from that petroleum jelly and give it a move around, and it's smeared a little bit. The alcohol's getting to work now. That's why it's got all that extra liquid in. That's why it's so wet. And move another little bit of cloth so I'm not smearing the grease around, and that's great. But there's quite a lot of drying marks there to keep moving them off the edge. Yeah, it got there in the end, didn't it?
Well, this did a good job of both dust and fingerprints, but it did leave a little bit of a residue. It was very wet when you first used it, and that dried around the edges of the lens. I did have to remove that. It was easy to remove, but I still had to do it. This, of course, is not really a great choice for the greener thinking photographer. It's essentially a wet wipe, isn't it, for cameras? Very convenient, but unlike some of the others on test, every wipe is thrown away after using it, and so is the packaging. What do they cost? Not the cheapest. It's 220, costs $18.99. That's 8 cents each. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next up is the little blower brush. They're $7.49 for 4, so that makes it $1.88 each, as long as you want 4 of them. Cheaper ships, but does it work? Where is it? It looks like this. Does it work? Well, let's have a look.
Okay, little blower brush on the talky, dusty talc. It's not doing a great job, is it? I'm moving it around. Look, I can see it in the air. Right, blow. I'm blowing as well at the same time. It's kind of pushing it around, and with patience. You're going to need a lot of patience, because it's right. I'm speeding the film up 400 times. Come on, it eventually gets there. Look, eventually we get that dust off. So it does work, but it ain't the quickest, is it? Let's have a look at the oily fingerprint. Well, of course, it's not going to touch it.
Well, it does work eventually. Not the fastest blower in the bag. It's just not big enough, is it? Hey, if you're on a super tight budget, then it will remove dust. But as far as fingerprints, forget it. It's not going to shift them. I'll give this a 4 out of 10. It'll get you by, but it's not the best. So we saw the pre-moistened wipes earlier, but what about using the tried and tested lens tissue paper? You can get books of tissue paper. They've been around for years. You'll also need a bottle of lens cleaning fluid to go with this, and that'll cost you around about $17 for both of them. But is it any better to go old school? Let's take a look.
Okay, let's get our dust on there, and we're going to go with our tissue. Now, you could just wipe this off with a dry tissue if it is just dust, but I'm going to go all out with the fluid. Big spray fluid. There's a lot of it. Look at that, flipping heck! And I start moving it around with the lens tissue. Actually, has moved it quite quickly, hasn't it? Not bad at all, and it's drying, I think, a little bit quicker than the Zeiss wipe did. Yeah, that's got that off really quite quickly. That's fairly impressive. Let's try the fingerprint. Put our spray on, and lots of liquid there. Let's get another different lens tissue this time, and we start moving it there. I'm having to apply quite a lot of pressure. Look how it's smeared there. And it's dried. I'm going to have to need some more fluid. I can't get that off. Get some more fluid on there. Give it another spray. Another tissue. And move it around. Yeah, it's still smearing a little bit. Still moving that grease around, look. And, oh, look, a bit of my tissue's come off and stuck in the screw thread there. This is a bit annoying. It has moved. I'm going to give it another spray. It has moved it, but it's not got rid of it completely. All right, another tissue, and I'm going through the tissues here, and get that out of there. These tissues do disintegrate with the fluid a little bit, but it is. I mean, it's cleaned it off quite nicely, hasn't it? But not perhaps the fastest. Ooh, go on, let's get there, and finally. Is that going to dry off, that little bit of alcohol there? Yeah.
Well, the tissue on its own will remove dust, but for better cleaning and certainly for fingerprints, you're going to need the tissue paper with the fluid too. But will it fall apart too much? Be careful. Not as convenient as the wipes, but the thin tissues are more eco-friendly, aren't they? Maybe I should give it a 6 out of 10. Not quite as convenient, does have a habit of disintegrating if it gets too wet. Yeah, 6 out of 10. Now the cleaning pen's next. Easy to pack in the bag, nice and techie looking, the James Bond of the group. But will the brush get rid of dust?
So as we put some dust on, I should say that some people use these pens for dust on their own and literally just wipe them over the marks, which is fine for dust. I'm going to use the brush here first of all, obviously, for this dust. It's small. It's a bit like the blower brush. It's probably not quite big enough. It's doing it. Look, it's just moving it around. You push it around a little bit with the brush, don't you? You push it into the screw thread where it kind of gets caught, and then we take it out. But it has got there. Look, in the end, not too bad. Just get it out the screw thread on the sides, but yeah, it's got that out eventually. As I said, some people use the actual carbon stamper by itself and stamp right across the fingerprint. Let's get the fingerprint on there, but I'm not going to do that because I think it clogs it up a little bit, particularly if it's really greasy like this. Another way you can do it is to put your carbon bits around the outside, and I'm going to use a separate cloth because it would just clog that up with that Vaseline, and I don't think it'd be very good for very long. But it's okay to do that with with simple little not too greasy things. That smeared it a little bit, but with lots of rubbing with this microfiber cloth, it does come off. There we go. Actually, that's pretty efficient, isn't it?
The brush will get rid of dust, but it does take a while, and the carbon stamper is easy to use, and with a microfiber cloth it does a great job on the fingerprints. You've got to be careful though with that carbon stamper, this thing. It'll stain material, and the brush is not the fastest, it's quite small. Add that to the fact that you also need to buy a microfiber cloth to get it to clean the fingerprints well, then this K&F one does come in at $11.99. I've got to say, for that I want something a bit special, a bit better than this, I think, to be honest. It does get the job done, but not any better than the rest. I think I'm going to give it a respectable 6 out of 10. If you can pick it up in a bundle at half the price, that might go up to a 7 out of 10. But at that kind of money, it doesn't do enough for me. Now, we used a microfiber cloth when we did the pen. So let's take a look at the simple microfiber cloth as a cleaning tool on its own. $9.95 for 6. So they're the cheapest on test, really. Well, other than the lens wipes, but this is reusable. $1.66, that works out for one of these.
So the microfiber cloth on its own with dust, and it's moved that quite quickly, hasn't it? And wow, that was super quick. It's obviously still got the same problem with the screw thread that they've all got. But let's try the greasy fingerprint and see how it gets on. It's oh wow, look at that! Did you see that? It's gone. That's incredible. How did it? There's no alcohol or anything on that. He's literally just lifted it. I'm astonished.
Wow, it's amazing. I've wiped dust off in a couple of swipes. The greasy fingerprint was gone in seconds. It's tactile too. You can feel the lens under your fingers. You can sort of gauge how much pressure to put on. You can really get your fingernails into the nooks and crannies. and you know, this is the most environmentally friendly product on test. No plastic, no waste. It's reusable, it's washable. Add to that the costs of just over $1.50. It's a no-brainer. You need one of these, and that's why I'm going to give this the full 10 out of 10 marks. It's hard to argue with. It's unbeatable, or is it? Last up is the big blower. I'm using this Giotto's Pocket Rocket air blaster. It's a big palm-sized blower, and it delivers a real hefty blast of air. This one comes in at $17.99. So let's see how it gets on.
So the big air blower, how are we going to get on? Let's get our dust on there and put it through its paces. Right, come on. Here we go. So talcum powder dust and get the big air blower and see how it gets on. Wow. Wow. See what I mean? That is quick. Gosh, how's it going to get on with a good old greasy fingerprint? I don't even bother why we're bothering even showing you this, because look, blow, 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 absolutely nothing. It doesn't work.
Well, dust is a thing of the past when you got one of these. Did you see how quickly that dust disappeared? One pump, it's gone. Dustless glass. On the fingerprint side, it was, how can I put it? It was useless. Of course it was. It's not going to touch a fingerprint, is it? Not an air blaster. No, anything stuck to the glass like greasy fingerprint, and this is no use at all. So bottom marks then, eh? Well, no. Okay, I'm going to throw a curveball in here, because I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. And I'll tell you why. Because it may only do half the job. It's only good at eliminating dust. But boy, does it do that well. Super fast, super efficient. And here's the rub. I got one of these in my camera bag, and I have had one for years. And every lens I use gets a pocket rocket blast before I use it. And it's that quick. I can blast the dust off everything. Every single morning, first job of the day, is a fast air blast of the lens, the viewfinder window, the screen edges, even around the buttons. Everything gets blasted with this. I keep the dust off the camera. And it's also worth mentioning, I'd never do a deep clean of my lens with any of these products that we've looked at without first giving a blast of air from this to make sure that there are no solid or sharp bits of grit that have got stuck on the lens that I'm about to wipe across the glass and leave a nasty scratch. Now, for me, this is the starting point of cleaning your lens. Not just when you're cleaning the lens in a deep clean, but every single day. And I wouldn't be without one. So, there you have it. The microfiber cloth gets the Best in Test award. Absolutely invaluable piece of photo kit. Really simple, easily outperformed the others for me. And the Pocket Rocket gets the editor's choice, because I wouldn't be without this. This gets used every single day and is an invaluable addition to a camera bag. Now, I've left links in the description for Amazon purchasing if you want to get any of these and you want a quick link. Quick disclaimer, as an Amazon affiliate, I do make a few pence on each of those purchases, which would cost you nothing, by the way, and it really helps my channel. But you don't have to use those links. You can go to any shop or just go onto Amazon and find them yourself. I've also included a couple of bundle links there, which are incredible value for money. Sometimes you can get a bundle of all of these different cleaners and try them out for yourself to see which one you like. Hey, look, thanks for watching this test today. If you found it helpful, please take a second to drop a like, would you? Or even to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. And then you'll be notified about any further photography product tests that I do to see what's outperforming what. Talking of which, if you're looking for something that costs very little but makes a huge difference to your shots, I did a product test of some diffusers that fit onto your flash on your camera, and I couldn't believe the difference they made. The results of that test, I couldn't have guessed what was going to happen. If you'd like to have a look at that, then click on this next video here.